right, here we go. Let's see. Sorry, you can hear the fireworks outside. I'm recording this on July 4th. So, yeah, so anyway, if I keep looking at the screen, it's because I got notes up here. I got notes up here and I got notes here. So, but yeah, finally on camera, trying to make sure that do a little something different. And for the Girl You Know What podcast, we're going to be, both of us are going to eventually be on camera. Um, just right now, we're at a little bit of a hiatus for Girl You Know What. And I'll let Keisha, if she wants to, tell y'all what's going on. So, but I wanted to give y'all something different to be able to keep things going. And of course, this is the Dannie B Speaks podcast. This is, I haven't done one and I don't even know when the last time was, but I do want to get back on the ball in doing these. But this is just going to be like a little catch up episode of the Girl You Know What podcast. And I'm sorry, well, I'm going to post it on the Girl You Know What podcast page, but it's also going to be Dannie B Speaks, the podcast. That's what this is. So it is coming back, as well as the true crime is coming back. So let's just get right on into it. So this is called Y'all Good. Is everybody good out there? Because it's been a lot going on. So where do I begin? Um, now the last podcast I believe I did for Dannie B Speaks was I was talking about what was it? Like journeys that I've been on, whatever. I want to get more back into that. And this episode is going to be kind of explaining what's been happening over the past couple years or however long it's been since I did a last episode. So we're just going to label this as, I guess this will be season 3 of Dannie B Speaks, the podcast. We'll just start off nice and fresh. And if you want to go listen to older episodes of the podcast, they're on my YouTube page at Dannie B Speaks. This will be uploaded on there. If I don't like the way the video quality came out, then I will just release the audio for now until I do some tweaks. This is really a test. Um, I've been out all day, doing things, helping out with my mom, which I'll get into that in a little bit. So there's been a lot of things that, have been going on with me. And I will say for probably the last couple years, I've just been mentally checked out. And last year, especially, every time I wanted to get back into doing something and get this going back, I wanted to get back more into my writing and a whole bunch of other things that, I really want to do. I keep starting this and then it's like I just drop off. The only constant has been the Girl You Know What podcast. And I think it helps because I'm doing that with somebody else. Um, it's a team thing, so we're both working together on it, and it helps out a lot, to have somebody on your side, whatever. Doing that and having somebody else to feed off of, it's a lot harder to do a solo thing. And I'll get more into this. I may break this up in 2 parts. But the first part is just going to be like a catch up, um, let you know why I haven't been posting, why I got rid of my website, things like that. So I'm going to start at my list here. Like I said, I was just not constantly, Lord have mercy. I was just mentally checked out. Um, the summer before, so what was that? 2024. I was just going through a lot of things mentally. I was trying to get myself together. Um, I really just I wouldn't say that I wasn't in a good place. I'm just going to say it like that. Um, I just really wasn't feeling like myself, And that just I knew that there had to be some changes. I had to make some changes with myself, how I want to, to feel better going forward. At the time, I was what, 44, um, approaching, that, I guess you could say, middle age or whatever. And I really wanted to get my health together and everything. I just, it was a lot going on mentally, physically, emotionally, everything. Um, so I'm gonna have to look and see when the last date was that I actually recorded a Girl You Know What podcast. I'm sorry, I keep saying Girl You Know What podcast because I'm used to saying that, but I mean Dannie B Speaks. I'm sorry. So last summer was really a mess. Completely just there was no way that I was going to be able to do anything last summer. My mother got real sick, and I mean, to this day, we still really don't know what's wrong. She's much better now. The only thing is that she really can't walk right now because she's just not strong enough, but everything else is fine. I mean, there were a lot of times where it was almost touch and go. Like we didn't know what was going on, what was going to happen. She was in and out of the hospital from like, I believe, like last on Juneteenth last year of 2025. She was admitted to the hospital after a doctor's appointment. And so she was in and out of hospitals and nursing homes from Juneteenth until right before Christmas. So she wasn't home. She came home and has been home since it was right before Christmas. I just remember we spent Christmas with her. Um, I mean, it got to the point where we had to send her to the Cleveland Clinic, and I'm in Columbus, Ohio. We had to send her to the Cleveland Clinic, and and like I said, we really still to this day don't know what's wrong, what happened, what caused all of it, and it was a lot. It was a lot to deal with. There was no way that I was. I mean, it was so bad at one point that they thought that she had dementia, and luckily she doesn't. Um, but it runs in the family, so we were definitely very, um, worried about that. And it was just a lot. There was no way that I was going to be able to even focus on anything. It was even hard for me to do Girl You Know What, but like I said, I have Keisha there with me, and it's easy to feed off of somebody. And you do need that break, but um it was a lot. So, maybe I'll get more into the journey that we've been on with my mother, how, you know, dealing with that, and, me not being funny, but me being the oldest. Um, there was a lot put on me and my stepdad. So, and I couldn't be there all the time. I mean, they're both retired. So, he was able to, you know, take on a lot of the things that had to be done. When it came to her, I work, I have to. So it was a lot. It was a lot, but we'll get into that, maybe another time. Um, Also, for people who know, um, I was helping a lot with my nieces and nephew, and there's four of them. So, that was a lot. That was a lot going on. And I still help out, but it's not as much as I've had to do really over the last year or so. Um, it hasn't really been that much, that I've had to do. I mean, I still do a lot, but then it was like because I had to do it, I had to like really be there for them and help out a lot, do a lot of things, especially over the last year because, my mom wasn't there, my stepdad wasn't there, to really help. So I had to step up a lot. even more than I already do because I already do a lot for them because I want to. Those are my babies. So of course I'm going to be there and do things, and you know, it's no question. I'm always going to be there for them. It doesn't matter. But I wouldn't trade it for anything. I wouldn't trade it for anything. I don't have kids of my own. So those are my babies. Those are my brother. Those are his kids. Extremely close to them. I was a little disappointed they weren't over today, but they're supposed to be over tomorrow. So it just feels weird being over my mom's house, especially on the weekend, and they're not there. So, but yeah, so taking on a lot of responsibility for that. That was a lot. So, more of the brand stuff. I may be able to do this in one episode. Um, More of the brand stuff. So my website, DannieBSpeaks.com, is gone. I still own the domain, and I may one day, bring it back. I don't know. I mean, I just didn't have the desire to write, and I'm sitting here, paying for this website that I'm not using. Um, it just like really, even though I love to write and I still write, I have 50 million journals to prove it, and I'll publish a lot of the stuff that I write or whatever one day. But a lot of my writing I have been doing, like on here, like thoughts I have and stuff. I want to do on here. I want to record. A lot of things that I would write about, I've been doing on the Girl You Know What podcast. So it's been a lot. It's been a lot going on. I really want to do something different with my writing. Some people are telling me, I should get a Substack. It's more professional, and you can really, like I was doing with my website, you can write whatever you want. Some people were telling me to go back to Blogspot, because it's free, and you can write whatever you want. You can benefit off of it and all that stuff. So yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't know what I'm going to do about the writing, but I mean, I know I'm always going to write. I know that. But if I could write all day long and that's all I do and be able to make a living from it, I would do that. I would do that in a second. But um, that's not going to happen. But I will say this about the website. When I first started the website, I think it was in 2012, maybe 2011, 2012. I think I started getting everything together in 2011. And then in 2012, I believe that's when I published my first, I started publishing actually on it, and it went live. And like a few years into it, and I've talked about this on the podcast before, on the Dannie B Speaks podcast before, but I didn't publish on it. Like I didn't, post anything. I didn't publish any stories for maybe about 6 or 7 months. And I was still paying for it. I was still paying for my hosting and everything. And I was going in and signing in and everything. I still had access to it. And one day I went in and noticed that it was gone. I don't know what happened. I have no idea. But all of my article, and I had some bomb stuff back then that I was writing about on that page, and they were all gone. I tried to work with HostGator. That was my host at the time. I tried to work with them on getting stuff back. Um, they it was like it just disappeared. I'm like, how in the hell does something like that disappear? Um, it was just the weirdest thing. And after that, after dealing with all that and just seeing how um, your art, if that's what you want to call it, stuff that you've worked on, that it can just be gone one day. Um, and at the time, because I was paying for this hosting, which had a cloud and all this other stuff, I was also going through WordPress, the WordPress plugin that was used through HostGator. It disappeared that I was using for that site and everything. So when I started the website back up after I hadn't posted on it for a while, and the reason why I stopped posting is because my grandfather was real sick. This was before he passed. So it was just like, I was helping taking care of him a lot, and it was just a lot, so I wasn't posting on there in months. And like I said, I was still paying for it and everything, but for some reason stuff just went away. I don't know what the hell happened. To this day, I still don't know what happened, but you know, so when I started posting on there again, I was still, doing stories and writing here and there. It wasn't as consistent as it was before because I just wasn't into it. And like I said just a little while ago, it's like when you see your art, and things that you worked hard on, regardless of how simple it may seem or, whatever, it's something that you worked on, it's something that you put out there for people to see. And for it just to be gone like that, I wasn't impressed. I wasn't happy with that at all. Um, so yeah, I mean, and then I think because I wasn't posting on there, I was putting the podcast on there to make sure that something was constantly on there and that, something was being published and all that stuff. So I just remember, you know, just doing that on there. But I was like, this is all I'm posting on there. Like I'm wasting money, I'm wasting time to do this. And even though it was getting traction and people were, going on the website to click and listen to it, it just wasn't the same. I just wasn't into it. Um, and I think like too, my writing style changed a lot. So I wasn't really comfortable putting some stuff out there. I talked about doing like short stories and, you know, a lot of like true things. You know what I mean? Not saying that I didn't post true things, but I'm talking about true things like about me and about experiences that, I had gone through or what I've seen someone else go through, getting more real on there because, I was getting older. It wasn't, fun to constantly be petty and, to always be reading people and, stuff like that. Not saying that still wasn't or not going to get done because I mean, I do that still, but it wasn't the same. It wasn't the same. It wasn't fun. So I was just like, I'm just going to, shut it down. Just shut it down. And I'm going to do everything this way. Things I put out, I'm going to put out video, um, vlog type style, in the podcast. If I'm on camera or off camera, I'm gonna do it that way. So that, I was just like, I think right now, just the way things are going, that I would rather do that, um, do it that way. So, oh, excuse me. So yeah, it was a lot. It was a lot going on within, the past couple years. And I really want to get back into it. And I'm going to talk right now. I'm going to talk about what I want to do going forward, like what's to come, all that stuff. So definitely like what I'm doing right now, the visual podcast. I really want to do that. Um, I really, I don't mind being on camera. I've always been a type of person like whether I worked in radio, whether I worked like at, um, you know, like one of the magazines around here when I worked at the well, not worked, but like when I would volunteer at different places, the Columbus Historical Society, when I would volunteer or whatever, I would, or when I interned, whatever, I like being behind the scenes. I like doing that, but I think now because of the way things are going, you kind of do have to have a face to the voice in a sense. Now, there probably will be times where I will just be you'll just see a picture of me, a picture of Keisha, whatever, what's going on. You'll just see that. But I do really want to get into doing things this way, the visual podcast. Um, like how I've always done, topics will be all over the place. they'll be all over the place, just whatever I want to talk about. I mean, it's just it's truly always been that's just how I am. I got ADHD. I'm all over the place. So I mean, seriously, I got anxiety, so I'm all over the place when I'm thinking, whatever. I'm all over the place. So that's how it is. That's just how I've always rolled on the podcast. Even on my website, there were different things that I would write about, and it's going to be the same thing. I want to be bringing other stuff to the page. I want to get more traction to my YouTube page. So this would help too, because there are other things that I want to do on YouTube. Um, yeah, that's really, you know, what I want to get into with because that's what Dannie B Speaks was originally. It was going to be something that was all over the place and something that was just going to be what I want, what I wanted it to be and, whatever. So, and it's not to sound selfish because you have to put out there what your the people who you're listening to, and I have to earn a lot of that back because being gone, um, there are people who want to be on the podcast with me, and no shade, but a lot of the people that want to be on the podcast with me have never once shared it, have never once, and it's like I'm really not like that. Like, like you have to do that, whatever. But it's just like if you want to be a part of something, then wouldn't you put it out there too, or show some support yourself, whatever. But I'm still gonna have people on here with me, and we may do some live shows, and you don't have to be on camera. There may be times I may not be on camera, but if you want to be on camera, you can cam up. I'll send you the link. We can get on here, chop it up, whatever. So that'll be, the visual stuff will be coming, and jump ahead. I would like to have guests on here with me, and do some collaborations. Even have Keisha come over here if she wants to. Maybe she'll start her own solo one, and we'll still do girl, what. But when she gets back on her feet, we'll you know do all that, work on all that then. But that's really something that I want to do is the visual stuff, more visual, and it'll help me be able to go into other things that I want to do on this channel. Let's see, story times. I have tons of stories. It's something that I always wanted to do with my podcast. I actually had a couple written down that I wanted to do, but then I stopped recording the podcast. So that'll be fun. That'll be fun. I've done a lot in my years here on this planet, especially in my adult age, especially in my early 20s, mid 20s. That was a time. That was a time. So I definitely want to do some of that. That would be fun. There'll be, of course, discussions of pop culture and politics and, all that stuff. All that, fun stuff going on. What the heck is this? I hate when you're doing something and stuff just pops up. I don't need that right now. Currently. What? And see, then when you don't have your glasses on, the shit looks a little. If you continue, items will be removed from both folders. Okay, what? I'll look at that later. What the hell? Sorry, y'all, but just that's why squirrel things pop up, get me. I can't. Um, yeah, but definitely my thoughts and opinions on things. Period. I mean, why not? Let's see. What else? What else? What else? Oh, I don't have this written down, but I just thought about it. Like me going out to different places, doing different things. Keisha and I were talking about this on the Girl You Know What podcast. I think last week or the week, well, not last week because we didn't record, but like a week or two ago when we recorded or whenever we recorded. Um, it was either the last show we did or the one before, but we were talking about how there's so much to do in this city. Keisha doesn't even live here. She lives in a different city, but she still knows a lot of things that there are to do here. So I definitely want to get, go around to different places that I go to. I don't go out a lot. I'm definitely a homebody, and and especially helping taking care of my mom still, helping going over there, doing things, helping out. I still, go out and do things and go different places, even if it's by myself, if it's with a group of people, another person, whatever. I still like to go out and do stuff. So, I definitely want to do that. Deep dives. Deep dives onto certain people who like I watch on YouTube or just different things. Deep dives, it could be someone famous. It could just be a thought that I have and getting real deep into it. So there'll be, like I said, this page and channel and everything is all over the place. Trust me. Definitely health tips and weight loss, because for people who don't know, I have lost over 250 pounds over the past 9 years. And I'm going to talk about that. That's something that I'm really going to talk about a lot on this page, how I did it, um, you know, how I'm maintaining, how I plan to keep maintaining, because it's not easy. It's definitely not easy. It's not easy to lose 10 pounds. Trust me, I've been there, but it can be done. It can be done. And you don't have to have surgery or anything like that, to, even though I'm a huge advocate for it, because I've had a form of bariatric surgery, to get me started. And I'm going to talk about that too. But yeah, so I'm definitely going to talk about weight loss and health and, stuff like that. And these are things like I'm just a person who's gone through it, who's gone through it, and who's someone who put on an extreme amount of weight and has lost it, has changed a lot of, the lifestyle that I live. But I still have some sense of, doing what I did before, but just not like I haven't really changed that much. You know what I mean? Like to the point like where I'm strict, but I'm not overly strict because that messes you up. So we're going to get into all that. We're going to get into all the mind F's and everything that play along with losing weight. And even if you don't have to lose weight, if that's not your focus, maybe there's something else that you want to work on. Maybe just listening to some of it, will help you as well. Maybe you know someone in your life who knows how to lose weight, and coming from someone who gained a lot of weight, who never had really had a weight problem before, and going from there to this, maybe you'll be able to understand if you've never had a weight problem, or you don't feel like you need to lose weight, but there's someone in your life that wants to or is having issues. I just think it'll be something easy to be able to understand when it's coming from someone who has been through it. Because, yeah, we can listen to nutritionists and dietitians and, your surgeons and other doctors, whatever, um, because they are definitely there to help and they know what they're talking about, but have any of them actually physically gone through it? That's the thing. And not saying I know more than the doctors, but I do know a little something. But take it as just someone who's not in the medical field, but has been through it. And of course, we're going to talk, girl, you know what is still coming. It'll be posted on this page as well, like it's been. And like I said, Keisha and I are going to be coming on camera and, probably won't be in the same room. If we are, it won't be often at all because, like I said, we live in two different cities, same state, two different cities, and we're really not that far from each other. But it's something that's not going to happen. And like I said, I mean, they're really going off with the fireworks, and I'm right by the window, so I don't have it open or anything. I did before, and I was like, well, let me close it, but it's yeah. It's because I can hear it through the headphones, so I'm sure y'all will be able to hear, some of the rumbling and stuff. But anyway, let's move on. So yeah, so girl, you know what will still be posted on my page, my YouTube channel. Um, Getting back into true crime, I have so many like people send me stuff and I'm like, "Oh yeah." And I do like look into it like at night. That's really all I do is like look at things that people have sent me, or I go on rabbit holes and stuff like that. Like I don't even really watch TV anymore. It's sad. I think the most my TV had been on was watching the NBA finals. That was really it. And of course, go Knicks. Go Knicks. Yeah, go Knicks. Yeah. So there we go. But anyway, and we'll get into that too. 'Cause I have some things to say about the NBA, the WNBA, being a former basketball player, not playing on that level. I didn't play past high school, but I do want to talk about some stuff like that. So, like I said, it'll be all over the place. I have a little something for everybody. And if you agree, don't agree, whatever. Um, so yeah, so true crime will be coming back. It's just something that, you know, um, I always say this, but I hate saying it, but I have a fascination with it. Um, and I really don't like saying that because it's true crime. It's something that really happened to somebody or some people. And there's other people involved, like families and, things like that. So you don't really want to be in a position where you're, you know, just feeding off of it in a way where, you're almost like benefiting and profiting off of these tragedies that happen. I like to do cases where you bring awareness to them, and I think you have seen that on past episodes that I've done. Of first, it was called "Not Another True Crime Podcast," but there was another one out there that people were mistaken for mine. So I just went on and I think I renamed it "True Crime with Dannie B Speaks." I think that's what I named it. Um, Someone did ask me, am I going to get rid of the Dannie B Speaks thing? And, because I've been going by Danielle more, like, on the Girl You Know What podcast. And I don't think I'm going to get rid of it. It's still like going to be the brand name, but I will go by Danielle. Um, let me see. And I know this says, like, I'm recording this on my StreamYard and I see it says live show. It's not going to be live, but this is just something to come. Y'all can see that this will be something to come when we do go live. And, y'all jump on with me and we just chat it up, whatever. So that's going to be like, I think I talked about that earlier, but that'll be something that I can't wait to do. I can't wait to get into is, having my people on here with me and we just chop it up and just act a fool and, just talk about things, talk about life, current topics, whatever. That's going to be fun. Last thing, maybe not the last thing, but something else that I wanted to have on this podcast is I'm really into like journaling because I love to write, obviously, talked about that a lot earlier in the show. And if you've been following me for a while, you know that that's what I started even before the podcast was blogging. I've been blogging since ooh, the late 90s, early 2000s. Yeah, I've been blogging for a while. Like when blogging first started, I was like, oh my God. Well, I actually can't say when it first started because I actually don't really know when it first started. But when it first started getting popular, and I was like, oh, I can write and put it out there and people will see it, whatever. And it's actually how I got discovered doing comedy writing. So it doesn't really hurt, to put your stuff out there. That's one of the story times I'm going to talk about is when I did when I did actually um, do comedy writing for an improv group, um, which led me to LA and all this. So yeah, we're going to get into all that. I promise you. I promise you, we're going to get into all that. But back to the like organizing and plan, planning, um, all that stuff. I do want to do that. I do want to, have some of that on my channel as well, because that's a huge part of what I do in my spare time, of who I am. At work, I have two of my journals sitting right next to me, and if I think of something, I'll write it down or I'll take it on break with me. Um, so I always have something to write on. I've been trying to get used to carrying around my smaller notebook so I can just put it in my pocket and I've had something just jot it down real quick. I kind of haven't gotten there, but I'm just used to just having my stuff out and just writing it down. I'm an analog person. I like to write stuff down. Do I type out stuff? Of course, like on the computer, whatever, in my notes on my phone. But I do prefer to write. I do prefer to physically write. But we'll get into all that stuff. Yeah, so that's really all I wanted to talk about on this episode. I just really wanted to do a catch up, really wanted to, just talk about what has been going on with me and why I haven't. Hopefully, I won't have to have one of these again, as to where I've been and what I've been doing and all that stuff. Hopefully not. Um, but you never know. Life's there's a lot going on, but I do want to be consistent at this. And I just think about where my page and everything would have been, where my podcast and all that stuff would have been if I had just been consistent over all these years that I started it. Um, yeah, so that's really about it. So I want to thank you all for taking the time to listen and watch this episode of Dannie B Speaks. Again, this will be season 3, episode 1. I believe so. Yes, I don't think I did a couple on season 2, but we're just going to start with a new season. Um, yeah, I believe so. I believe it's season 3. Yeah, but whatever. Figure it out. But thank you for tuning in and listening, and I'll catch y'all on the next show. Peace, everybody.